Welcome everyone. In this video, we are in the Great League Remix, showcasing another very powerful team featuring Poliwrath. Now, these battles were submitted to the channel by Hugo A Plays, a member of my Discord and fellow content creator over on Twitch. Link to his Twitch channel in the description. Please do go give him a follow and check him out. Very talented battler. So Hugo is running the Poliwrath Charjabug core. Very powerful core in this meta, along with a very interesting third coming in the form of Cradily. Cradily has some very interesting play in this meta, can core break a lot of teams, and has some pretty decent bulk. Very similar bulk to Jellicent. So I'm excited to dive into these battles, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Big thanks once again to Hugo A Plays for the battle submission, and do go give him a follow over on Twitch. And here we go, Gligar lead. Very tricky lead, a bit of a core breaker for this team here, but Poliwrath can absolutely put in the work. Poliwrath actually wins the zeros and the ones, so it'll be interesting to see what the opponent wants to do. They do go for the aerial ace, and Hugo is going to look to put in a little bit of work here up against this Gligar. Playing out the ones here, and now should just about survive an aerial ace long enough to get to another icy wind, which is double super effective, and this is a shadow. So this would one shot, one counter off. Non-shadow Poliwrath makes it to the icy wind here and grabs a one shield advantage on the lead. That is the power of Poliwrath in the Great League Remix. I'm going to come in here with Cradily now, and the opponent pivots into their own Poliwrath, and this should one-shots the Poliwrath. Holy smokes. Bye-bye to that Shadow Poliwrath, and now Hugo is looking to be in a prime position here. Back in comes the Shadow Gligar, and Cradily can absolutely let this go. It would hurt, but would survive, but gonna shield out of caution, not quite knowing what's in the back. And gonna go for the neutral Grass Knot here up against the Gligar. It does do more damage, and we say bye-bye to the Shadow Gligar, and there is a shiny Licky remaining here on the opponent's team. This is looking pretty good for Hugo here. The Licky does have to throw a Grass Knot, or excuse me, a Power Whip to get the job done here. Resisted Body Slam is just not going to get it done. That is resisted with the Rock typing on the Cradily here. And the opponent does go for the Power Whip. And now this is just fundamental here. The opponent realizes it is not going to happen. They do exit stage left. That's going to be a good game. The Poliwrath Charjabug core, about as strong as it gets in this Great League Remix. And here we go. Skarmory lead. This is A-okay for Poliwrath when shields are up. Of course, the zeros, it's a whole different story. But when we have shields, Poliwrath absolutely cooks against Skarmory. The reason why is because with the water typing, we are resisting this fast move pressure. And they do, Hugo does get a very clutch attack drop with the Scald here. Going to shield at the Sky attack, of course. Could have survived, but that is a very good shield there, as they do have a Licky in the back, so they're a little bit core broken by a very powerful Poliwrath lead here. Going to look to chip with an Icy Wind here. Could have stayed in, but going to put Cradily here onto this Licky Tongue, not wanting to risk having to shield a Power Whip. And Cradily has the worst matchup into that Skarmory, but Poliwrath put in tremendous work on it. The Skarmory is quite low. And now Hugo is looking to just get to back-to-back Rock Slides. That's all he needs here. Can survive these debuffed Power Whips, no problem. And now going to go for Rock Slide number 1 here on the Licky. They do not shield, and I don't blame them. And they do come back in with the Skarmory briefly. They did a little peekaboo here into a Superior of all things. But that is okay. Hugo would have thrown Rock Slide anyways on a Superior. So the opponent trying their best to work their way out of this pickle here. They are not in the best position. And look at the work Cradily is putting in on low health. Holy smokes, the opponent commits to the farm down. And now the path to victory is very clear here. You just come in with the Charjabug, and you absorb all this damage quite comfortably. No problem here from the Superior. And they do go for the Resisted Frenzy Plant. That is going to actually do more than a neutral aerial ace, believe it or not. But Hugo's going to pivot into the Poliwrath to put even more pressure on the opponent here. And they let the Icy Wind go. Yeah, they're just up against it here. Hugo just lets that frenzy go, farms down the Skarm, and that is about all she wrote for the opponent as they do promptly top left. That is going to be yet another good game. Well played. So far, so good with this Poliwrath team, courtesy of Hugo A Plays here. And here we go. A Ferrothorn, very interesting pick for the Great League Remix, but they safe swap a Charjabug, which is very tricky for this team, as Charjabug can pose some problems, obviously for Poliwrath, but also for Cradily in the back. As far as Ferrothorn goes, however, our own Charjabug is the best answer to that. So Hugo's going to stand a little bit to chip and dip, even up the shields here, and now make the play into the Cradily after debuffing with an Icy Wind here. That'll take a little bit of the sting off of these super effective X-Scissors, which Charjabug does get to at a very fast rate. Gonna go for the Rock Slide, of course. Cradily can fight back, but Charjabug has some very nice bulk, does survive that Rock Slide, but Cradily has the bulk as well, as I mentioned, will survive this X-Scissor. But I don't think can quite farm down just yet. Gonna have to throw a move, which is unfortunate to throw the move on such a low health Pokemon, but you gotta do what you gotta do to control the alignment here. Ideally, again, Hugo would like to have his own Charjabug on this Ferrothorn here. And I do believe this Ferrothorn can very comfortably commit to a neutral farm down here with Bullet Seeds, and that is precisely what they do. So now the play is to put the Charjabug, of course, on the Ferrothorn. Everything that Ferrothorn could possibly throw is resisted. Of course, Ferrothorn can run Acid Spray, but that is not likely. So for all intents and purposes, it's all resisted, as they do go for the Power Whip. But they do add up, as Ferrothorn has a pretty decent attack stat, and these resisted Power Whips are beginning to add up a bit. So much so that Hugo aggressively pivots into the Poliwrath and is met with a Jellicent. That is very unfortunate, but the Jellicent is running Bubble, so that makes this matchup a little bit better. Hugo going to go for the guaranteed debuff. Generally, you do want to be going for these Scalds, as they do hit harder. They do have Stab, but I think non-Shadow Poly survives a Shadow Ball on a fractional HP, and now going to go for the Scald. Hugo playing this brilliantly, gets the clutch attack drop, and now that puts Charjabug in an amazing position here up against this Jellicent. And they do let that go. That's very interesting. Putting it all on the Ferrothorn here. Shields are still even. The Ferrothorn does have quite a bit of energy here. And just going to go for the neutral X-Scissors here. Of course, that is the play. Grabbing a shield from the Ferrothorn. I don't think another X-Scissor will KO this Ferrothorn here. But force to shield a resisted Power Whip. Makes it to the X-Scissor. And this will not quite KO. It's going to come down to the wire here. It doesn't quite KO, but the resistant Volt Switch takes out the Ferrothorn. Holy smokes, that one got really close, but Hugo Plays gets it done in the end. Good game to them. Cradily, also a Pokemon that you wouldn't think about in this meta, but has some play. But here we go. Vigoroth lead. This is an amazing lead for Poliwrath. They pivot into a Shadow Gyarados, and a Hugo immediately meets it with the Cradily, seeing it as a little bit of dead weight, knowing that they have a Vigoroth here. Holy smokes. The opponent bringing some Omega levels of spice here with the Shadow Gyarados. Very interesting here. Gonna go for the Rock Slide. The opponent just lets it go. Likely looking to set up an aggressive farm down, I would imagine, with their Vigoroth, as Vigoroth can very comfortably tank a Grass Knot from Cradily and get this farm down here. But Hugo is going to go for the Grass Knot. Nonetheless, Vigoroth can survive this quite comfortably and does look to commit to that farm down there, leaving with loaded energy here on the back end. Surely going to meet this Poliwrath here with an onslaught of Body Slams. No one does it better. Vigoroth with the patented Body Slam spam, and they are letting them rip now. Oh my goodness, they've got a Gligar in the back. Oh my gosh, this is not good. I bet Hugo was absolutely kicking himself for not meeting that Gyarados with the Charjabug, but in the midst of battle, you just have to make those snap decisions, but that is unfortunate. Had Hugo put the Charjabug on that Gyarados, could have fully farmed it down, perhaps, and left with tremendous energy. But now they have a Gligar, and Hugo is having to work his way out of a pickle here. Does get the guaranteed attack drop with the Icy Wind. That's the play there. Now going to allow Charjabug to comfortably tank this heavy damage, neutral damage from the Gligar here. Gligar now has no more shields. Hugo's still holding on to a shield of his own. And as we can see, the X-Scissors do add up, but the Vigoroth has energy. And the energy hurts when it comes from Vigoroth, forcing a shield out of the Charjabug here. Hugo can't afford to overfarm by too much here. Gonna have to throw this X-Scissor to get rid of the Vigoroth, but that Gligar is absolutely loaded. They did have a dig stored, and this is a Shadow. Charjabug not healthy enough to withstand that dig and gets the wing attack down. That is unfortunate. Hugo zigged when he should have zagged a little bit, but good game to them. Man, Gligar in the back was a little rough, but we press on. Here we go. Magnezone, spicy for the Remix Cup here. They do, of course, swap out into their own Poliwrath. Hugo's going to stay in here a little bit. Can absorb whatever the Poliwrath throws. Of course, it is resisted and does absorb an Icy Wind, but going to fire his own Icy Wind onto this Poliwrath now. I personally would have banked this energy and then come into Charjabug without throwing it, but Hugo elects to apply the debuff. Of course, going to take a lot more of the sting off of this damage output coming the Charjabug's way. They do fire off another Icy Wind. The opponent probably should have just gone for the Scald. That would have done more damage. And Hugo does get a nice farm down on that Poliwrath now. And back in comes the Magnezone. And Hugo is going to let it rip with these X-Scissors, although resisted. Magnezone, not known for its bulk, especially as a Shadow. And these are debuffed X-Scissors, and they are absolutely chunking this Magnezone here, forcing it to throw energy on CMP here, or CAP, I should say. And they do have to go Wild Charge. The opponent does go for the knockout with the Wild Charge. A Mirror Shot would not have gotten the job done, of course. And they've got a Cresselia in the back. Very interesting. This is getting very interesting here. Charjabug was the best answer to that Cresselia, but it is now gone. We needed Charjabug to deal with that opposing Poliwrath. Hugo goes for the Icy Wind debuff and going to shield up a Grass Knot here. Everything that Cresselia can throw, of course, is super effective. And now going to pivot into the Cradily here. Cresselia is holding on to a one shield advantage and has a debuff applied, so Hugo can very comfortably let this all go here. Gonna go for the Rock Slide. Grass Knot would be the more energy efficient move, but Rock Slide is a little bit cheaper to get to, a little bit faster to get to, and does grab a shield from the Cresselia. Gonna try his luck yet again on another Rock Slide bait here. Gonna be interesting to see. I don't see the opponent shielding that. They do not. Generally, if you have a Shadow Magnezone on your team, the shields do go to the Magnezone. And now the opponent no longer debuffed that Mirror Shot. Although one of the weaker moves in the game, hits like an absolute truck coming from a Shadow Magnezone. Gonna go for the resisted Rock Slide, of course. Grabbing the shield that would have KO'd. Instantly pivots into the Poliwrath, gets the counter down as the opponent is stuck in that Volt Switch animation, and now this is looking pretty good for Hugo. All he does is shield up whatever this is and hits the move, and that will be just about all she wrote for the opponent's team. We are saying bye-bye to the Cresselia, courtesy of Poliwrath. That's going to be a good game. And these battles have been fun. Big thanks once again to Hugo A Plays for the submission. And do go check him out on Twitch. Link in the description. And here we go. Gligar. We've seen this story before. Poliwrath can put in the work here. Of course, does win the zeros and the ones. Does not win the twos. Hugo is going to play to his strengths by shielding up the first Aerial Ace and looking to fire off a Icy Wind here. That will allow him to much more comfortably tank an Aerial Ace that is almost assuredly coming his way here. And this is a non-Shadow. The previous Gligar was a Shadow, so that means this is going to be doing a lot less damage. Poliwrath very comfortably survives that. And now it'll be interesting to see if the opponent wants to double shield this here. They do not. Down goes the Gligar. In comes a Shadow Poliwrath on the opponent's team, and now this is looking really good. Charjabug is chomping at the bit here to come in onto this Poliwrath, and oh my gosh, they've got a Whiscash. This is over. This is over. That just goes to show the power of Poliwrath here, having the ability to have some very strong play into what would seem as though would be a bad matchup. Poliwrath put in the work, set up the team for tremendous success here. Has the alignment, gonna go for a Grass Knot, grabbing a shield from the Whiscash, and there's not a whole lot the opponent can do here. Hugo can very comfortably let this go, and we'll make it to another Grass Knot here, and the opponent recognizes it's not gonna happen. They do exit stage left. That's gonna be yet another good game. Phenomenal gameplay here, and look who we have! Galaxa Bolton, none other than Galaxa Bolton, the Lille regional winner and OG content creator in his own right. But here we go. Had a very spicy shift tree from the Lille regional champion. Galaxa Bolton here does pivot into a Gligar, of course. Shift tree wants nothing to do with the Poliwrath. Gonna look to go for an icy win here, of course, up against the Gligar. Grabbing a shield. We've seen this story multiple times by now. And we do know that this non-shadow Poliwrath, rank 1 I believe, survives this after the icy wind long enough to put the heavy pressure on the Gligar here, and Galaxa Bolton commits both shields to control alignment to get rid of that Poliwrath, but little does he know, has a Charjabug lurking in the back here, but in comes the Cradily here. This should be pretty easy for the Cradily here. Grass Knot should definitely KO a Shadow Gligar after tanking a double debuff dig. In comes the Shift Tree. Hugo pivots into the Charjabug to meet this Shift Tree here, and now looking pretty good, but we don't know what's lurking in the back here. This would have been a good shield. That's easily going to be the hardest hitting move remaining. Hugo waits a turn to see that Snarl come through to make sure that we say bye-bye to the Shift Tree, courtesy of a double super effective X-Scissor, and they had a Mandy lurking. Holy smokes. Charjabug was absolutely going to feast. And that is the team. Holy smokes. Good game to the OG Galaxa Bolton. Lille, France, regional champion there. Hugo making short work of that team. That is the team. Big thanks to Hugo A Plays for the battle submission. Guys, link to his Twitch channel in the description. Please do hop on over. Give him a follow. Has some phenomenal gameplay over on Twitch. And this team was very solid, put in tremendous work. I had a blast watching these battles. Big thanks to Hugo A Plays once again for the battle submission. But guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you guys.